I originate from South Wales, born in Newport. Family life was myself, my sister, mother and father. My early years as an early adult as well were very much along my dad's ethic. You will be a bloke, you will do what blokes do, hence the 7 marriages that all failed, obviously. And it is one of the reasons I didn't come out as a trans woman until I was 60.
I grew up in rural Somerset, which is possibly not the safest part of the world to be trans, but fortunately nobody knew anything about that in those days, so it wasn't really a problem. It was just, a small town that everybody wanted to get out of as soon as possible.
I'm from the transgender community, and since I retired, I've been very involved in trying to help the community by raising awareness, trying to change where we can legislation, and particularly educating people. So a lot of the work I do is about raising awareness and understanding, and then showing people how to use that awareness to bring real change.
I would hope, and in all honesty, expect to be treated as I am treated now. I know care home is different because obviously it delves into more personal things, stuff to do with, I would imagine, if it's care home, even washing and dressing and stuff like this. It all depends on at what stage I'm at as well. If I was post-op, it shouldn't be a problem. If I was pre-op or non-op, I would like to think that the staff wouldn't do the first time I ever took some clothes off.
I think one of the big things people are particularly concerned about is if they get dementia and forget they've transitioned and go back to a younger point in their life when not only they were really frightened of coming out and now their bodies have changed, why are they like this? But also they'll remember that although being gender diverse wasn't illegal, homosexuality was, and too often trans people were just seen as gay people and were thought to be doing something illegal even when they weren't. There are a whole raft of concerns like that. Also, another big concern is that when somebody like myself gets old and frail, families will roll back their transition, particularly if they're vulnerable and in care, and will insist that they're treated in their birth assigned sex rather than the gender they're living in.
Care homes, yes, it's training. It's got to be training. It's got to be people will have to be, so, Holly Miami is moving in with us now. Holly Miami is a pre-op transgender woman and has been for now, we'll say 15 years. In her mind, that is all she has ever been. And that is how I want her treated.
I think what care services need to do is to make sure that their staff are all properly trained and that they are all aware that they do have responsibilities under the Equality Act and they should not discriminate against any particular type of patient.
There are so many things they need to do, but the first thing is for them to be open to difference and to not look at somebody and think, I know what your gender is, I know what your sexuality is, because the person may be covering it up, or they may have made such a transition that you don't understand they're trans, which in some ways is really good because that takes away a level of discrimination. Although we found then when people find out, they're really upset. You've been dishonest with me. You've lied to me. And of course they haven't. They've just been themselves.
the residents would see me as I am, and I would expect to be treated as who I am. In fact, as I say, by then, they wouldn't have known me as anything else.
Other residents or peers who are there are also told that they must not be discriminatory. And sometimes that means the other people in a care home, for instance, having awareness training.
As anybody else who came to see me, I mean, whoever would come to see me in a care home, they are my family or my friends or whatever. They shouldn't be looked down upon. It's probably coming back to the same thing that I said a couple of questions ago. It's got to be down to staff training.
Visitors, well, of course, my boyfriend lives in America, so the chances of him visiting me are not high. I'm not sure that anybody else would visit me, but I assume that visitors should be well treated, regardless of who the patient is.
Age Cymru have done these posters that just clearly state that, you know, we're LGBT friendly. So we've put those up in communal spaces. We've put articles in our newsletter that goes out to everybody. We say that, you know, we've been to Pride and what that means. And at the end of that, we've put useful contacts of like Stonewall or other organisations that are out there. Yeah, those are the sorts of things that we've done as an organisation, just to try and get that kind of message out there.
There is some good work going on in Wales. Firstly, I'd like to mention the work that a number of the health boards are doing. Nearly all of them now have a staff LGBT organisation, and the ones we've worked with have consulted very carefully about the diverse needs of LGBT people.
The Pobble Group I set up like an intranet staff LGBT network. So that's where we've initially, sort of in the last year or so, we've just shared information. It could be training courses, it could be interest, you know, articles, and that's a way to kind of get people to notice and sort of educate themselves. We've got an equalities, diversity, inclusion group that a lot of senior staff sit on. So that's quite, you know, that's looking at, you know, equalities across the board. But that's a good forum. Yeah, just keep going with it, really. I think it's quite a bit, can be like a slow, it's a journey, really, isn't it?
Yes, my hopes for the future are very much around diversity and inclusion. All that everybody is looking for is acceptance.
If I had somebody managing a care home sat in front of me, I would want to say to them that it's their duty to treat all of their residents fairly and equally, and they need to make sure that all of their staff are aware of this.
It is down to upper management and HR departments and anybody else who is in charge of training to make sure they have programs in place, preferably now, but certainly very soon, that this can be rolled out to all members of staff, all levels of staff, from care home managers right the way down to the kitchen porter. It's no good the management or the hands-on staff being up to speed if the kitchen porter is still giving you the stir syndrome. It doesn't work, because it breaks the eggs of what everybody else is doing. Everybody, right the way down the line. And okay, it may be difficult, but hey, that's your job.